Hello everyone and welcome back for another Pixel Maven project tutorial. I'm Nicole Watt and this is the Pixel Maven Retreat channel. If you're new here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you visiting me often. So today I'm working with some more stencils, and this is the scallop stencil from scrapbook.com. If you know me, you know that I am crazy for stencils because there's so many different things you can do with them. And today we'll be doing a project that actually creates a 2-for-1 using the scallop stencil. And as you can see, I flipped the stencil over so that it looks more like scales. And I think this is really great for a masculine card. They're kind of like fish scaly or snake scaly, whatever you want to say. But it's a little less feminine, a little more masculine with the darker colors and some fun tone-on-tone embossing. Alright, so to get started, I'm going to use a piece of cilantro cardstock from Lawn Fawn and the scallop stencil. And this just goes right over the top. And I do want to make sure that I have it lined up nicely because I am going to use this background piece. So just holding it, I'm going to take my embossing ink and just go right over the stencil direct to paper. And this is going to get me the ink coverage that I need in order to do the embossing. And of course you could secure the stencil down to the paper if you wish, or you can just kind of hold on to it while you're doing this blotting of the ink on here. You just want to make sure that you're getting good coverage so when you put the clear embossing powder on it, it sticks well. Alright. So that is what it looks like, and that actually looks pretty cool all on its own. And you could dry it this way and it would still leave that tone-on-tone effect, which is pretty neat. Or you can go ahead and add the clear embossing powder like I'm going to do. And this is when having it in a little container like this is helpful, because then it's just going right back in. Alright, and now that I've got that all covered, I can go ahead and start my heat embossing. And this just takes a little bit extra because you've got so much to emboss, but it does heat up really quickly. And we'll be moving on to the next steps. Alright, so now that this is all nice and embossed, that looks really, really awesome. How cool and shiny is that? So I need to do my die cutting. So this is the HBD die from the stamp market, and it will make this big H, B, and D. And I want to get this all lined up because I am going to use both the positive and the negative. So it's important that everything stays in place. And I'm just using some post-it tape to make sure that that happens. Now this can get run through my die cut machine, and then we can do the sentiments and some assembly. Alright, so I have all of my pieces cut out, and I need to do a sentiment. So this is a birthday card. We'll be using the Happy Birthday from the Sentiments for Everyday stamp set from scrapbook.com. And I need a stamp block for that. So on the first one, I'm going to do it right on the card base and just get this guy down here. And this is going to be done in white. So I'm using the white pigment ink from scrapbook.com to get started. And I need some anti-static, otherwise it will stick all over the place. And the reason I'm using white is because when I put my white embossing powder over that, this will help with coverage to make sure that I really have a nice crisp white image. So that looks pretty decent as far as stamping goes, of course, but when I add the white embossing powder on top of that and then heat it, it's going to look exceptional. So that white on white really does add a whole lot to it. If I use the clear, then sometimes you end up with little bits of see-through because you may not have good coverage with the embossing powder. So by using the white, I end up getting really good coverage. and a beautiful final image. So you can see how nice and solid that ends up being. Gorgeous, right? So there's the first one, that's the white. And then I will go ahead and clean this off and hit my screen. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing but with black for the opposite. I need some anti-static again. And this one, it doesn't really matter how it's lined up because I'm going to be fussy cutting this out. But the same principle applies. I'm using black pigment ink because it will stay wet long enough for the black powder to adhere to it, and then it also fills in those empty spaces and gives me a really beautiful black embossed result. Alright, so as you can see, I am in the middle of fussy cutting out the sentiment, and I've got the top of it done so far. And actually that looks kind of cute that way with the bottom undone like that, but I am going to go all the way around. And I don't mind fussy cutting. I don't typically fussy cut out words because I have a hard time making them look the way I want them to, but for some reason this one just seemed to come together for me. So my biggest takeaway in fussy cutting is making sure that you're getting your paper back into the throat of the scissors. You're not using the tip of the scissors because that will help you get nice clean lines as you're cutting. And then to be moving the paper, not the scissors. So you can see that I'm using my left hand to move the paper around. And that helps me to get in and out of areas where I want to follow the lines a little more closely. So the scissors really are never moving. It's all about the paper moving as you're doing that cutout. And there you go, you have a beautiful sentiment. So now we can go ahead and work on some assembly. And so the first thing I'm going to do is get my card bases and my cards all set up. So I have, this one's going to go on here, and these guys are going to go here, and then this will go on top. So I'll set these aside for the moment, and then we'll get these guys put together. So I have my card bases here, and I can get all of this stuff assembled. So this first one, I'm going to adhere this piece of Adriatic from Hero Arts right onto the card. And if I have any excess that needs to be trimmed, see I need some trim on here, that's okay. I will take care of that after I have the card assembled, so I'm not too concerned about that little line there right now. And then the same thing actually goes for this one. I'm going to get another piece of Adriatic adhered to the second card base in the same manner. Alright, and then the HBD is going to go right on top of it, like so. And then I can go ahead and take care of any trimming that I need to. So this guy, just need to make sure that I'm getting adhesive all the way around so that all these little pieces stick down successfully. And you'll notice that I didn't carry over the centers. It's not necessary, although you can add them back in if you want to. Alright, so again, I'm just going to line up in that same top corner and bring it down. So any trimming will occur at the same spot. Looks like I just need to trim down a little bit at the bottom, but like I said, I'll take care of that after these are all done. Okay, so this guy is going to get the actual letters. So make sure that you've got your H and your B and your D in order. And what I am going to do first is kind of arrange them how I want them to end up. And the H and the D kind of end up the same, but then the B is going to link them together like so. So I'm actually going to glue the B to the H and the D. So a little bit of adhesive here and here and here. Just a little bit to get these guys to link up. All right, so now I have a single element, so I'm going to give that a minute to dry. And while I'm doing that, I will attach my little happy birthday here. I'm going to pop that up with some scrapbook.com adhesives. I'm going to use the little mini squares. It doesn't need too many. So just pop these in places where they're going to hide. If I need to, of course, I can trim them a little bit. But hopefully I can get this in enough places that it won't be necessary for any trimming to happen. All right, so then I flip it over and I make sure I'm not seeing any of them, and I'm not. Then I can remove the backings and adhere this down. All right, so pop that guy on there. Like so. Then I just need to do a little trim there. And then see, this is nice and dry, and I'm going to use the larger squares, also by scrapbook.com. So they have small ones and large ones. They also have small and large circles. But these squares actually fit quite nice in this particular die. Right. And attach that right on there. A little trim up and those guys will be done. So I hope you enjoyed learning about another way that you can use stencils and taking a little in-depth look at the scallop stencil from scrapbook.com. This is a great little project that will get you 2 cards for 1. So go ahead and give it a try today. I hope that you remember to click that subscribe button, and I will see you again here soon for another video. But until next time, happy crafting.